All right, so last but not least, let's talk about The Boys season 2.
Right.
So if you don't mind, I will do the synopsis duty, right?
Sure.
But before we start, just want to mention that we did review the first season. We thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually recapped the first season. I was actually amazed at how. Well, I mean, it's just a year apart, right? But not so much how it holds up, but just how well told it is, right? Reason what I mean basically is like the first season, you're just like, oh my god, they go in here and it's so bloody, and it just, you know, deconstructing the whole superhero myth, and all these
Right.
superheroes are assholes and all that kind of stuff there. So it's the kind of shock value, kind of, the first time you see it there, and just the joy of watching the season and seeing how things play out. But me watching over the first season, I was like, they really have a very, very well told story. You know what I mean? Really fully fleshed out characters. The motivations make sense. Even that character like Homelander, which
Yeah.
is a character that you love to hate, have a kind of way about him, his personality and whatnot, where you could understand why he does certain things. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you're
Right.
supposed to hate him, but at the same time, you kind of get
Yeah.
why he's like that. And I love that about the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, he is probably my favorite in Superman inversion character, like ever.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
believe they pulled this. Like, he's by far better than the others. I didn't expect him to come that good with that character, especially this
Yeah.
season. It's such a great arc. Anyway, go ahead.
It is. I imagine, and I think this came out around the same time, or probably a year after. Remember Brightburn?
Right. Well, they kind of feed into that as well.
Yes.
That
They
character.
did.
Yeah.
They did.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So without wasting any time, let me just jump into season 2. Let me not try to spoil too much, right? So if you remember from last season, the
Right.
boys themselves, right, our heroes, that would be William Butcher, or Billy Butcher, played by Carl Urban. We
Yeah.
have Huey Campbell, played by Jack Quaid. We
Yeah.
have Mother's Milk, that's his nickname, played
Yeah.
by Lance Alonso. We have Frenchie, who's played by Toma Capon, sorry. We have
Right.
Kimiko, who's played by, McGill Karen Fukuhara. And ever so often we would have Starlight, aka Annie, played by Erin Moriarty, right? She is one of the members of the Seven. That's this group of, superheroes, you know what I mean? And
Right.
this, well, you should say, well, what I could say is like the most advertised, superheroes. Because, yeah, superheroes is like a commodity these days, is an industry.
Yeah.
This group called, VOT, the VOT Corporation, whatever it
Right.
is,
Yeah.
VOT, they pretty much have found a way to just market these heroes, right? So literally every state has a hero, right? But yeah, these seven are the ones that everybody looks up to. You know what I mean? They have just a bunch of, products based off of them, and, media and all that good shit, right? So yeah. Um, so where the last season stopped off was basically where the boys themselves, are wanted, mainly because, well, the leader himself, Butcher, he is framed for the murder of one of the execs of VOT,
Right.
by the name of Stillwell, right,
Yeah. Yeah.
played by Elizabeth Shue.
Right.
But what we learn, what we see in the last episode, well, basically, is that she was killed by Homelander, right?
Right. Yeah.
And they basically had this kind of relationship going on, but Homelander kind of realized something, and he kills her, right? But she also had a baby, right? And
Right.
it just kind of left it out there what happened. But the big stinger for the last episode was that Butcher's wife,
Right.
who we kind of went in the first season hearing that she died, right? Because
Right.
Homelander, quote unquote, killed her, is still alive, right? And
Right.
what happened is that well, she was raped actually by Homelander,
Right.
and her child, this boy, well, in the show, he's like about 6 or 7, or roughly around that age, is still alive, right? So the story starts from here, where Butcher actually sees them for the first time, right? But unfortunately, he doesn't get to contact them, right? He just kind of sees them from afar. So he basically tries to organize with his former employer from the CIA to basically get his wife back, right? But at the same time, he doesn't know what to do with the son because it's not his, right?
Yeah.
But speaking of not being his, Homelander now decides, well, hey, I realize now that my son has powers, right? Because that was another big thing at the very end of the last episode, that he has powers. He has the same sort of I-beam powers that his daddy uses to pretty much split people in half.
Right.
So he has that, right? So he now tries to play the dad now. You know what I mean? He's like, yes,
Yeah.
son. You know what I mean? You're like me. You know what I mean? I want you to be just like me and all that kind of stuff. Of course, the mother wants nothing of it. I mean, she's a
Right.
prisoner basically. Where she lives is this sort of gated community. You know, cameras all over the place. So she wants to be out of it, right? Of course, with her son. Um, in the meanwhile, now, Atrian, he's one of the members
Right.
of the seven.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's
Yeah,
out of the hospital.
yeah, he being drummed out.
Yeah, yeah,
Guys
because
is dark. Yeah.
because he was addicted to this chemical called compound
Well,
V.
compound, right. So compound
Yeah.
V is the chemical. Well, we learned what compound V is.
Yes.
And
It it
right.
it, it,
Yeah, go ahead.
it pretty much, because we had to do the season one spoilers here, sorry, right?
Right.
So we learned that compound V is basically has been injected into babies, human babies, and that is like, so that's how they got their powers from such a young age.
Right.
But for someone like Homelander now, and it involves this ulterior motive to paint them as heroes, through is basically him and Stillwell came up with this plan. They've been injecting it into adults, right?
Right.
And then whoever has powers, especially outside of the United States, they will label them as terrorists now. So now
Right.
the seven have an excuse to go in and blow shit up and do stuff
Right.
and
Yeah,
look
and
look
yeah,
clean.
what it was, what it was an extended effort by Fort to basically start getting military contracts.
That's right. Yes, yes,
Right.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
it's basically like that's the thing with, well, just aside, it's a
Uh-huh.
slight critique of the show is that the politics feels a little dated because it's more Bush era politics. I think I mentioned this in
Yeah,
season,
yeah.
the season
It's very
one review.
2010. Well, no, 2000 actually.
Yeah. It's very, very 2005 politics. But that's when the comic came out, 2006. So it's like,
Yeah,
right,
exactly. And
right,
I don't know. I just kind of let that slide, right?
right,
So, right. So Atrian is more or less, trying to come clean of this thing, but he is kind of out of the team basically because the compound V affect him physically, right? So he can't run
right.
as fast as he could, right? Then we
Yeah.
have the Deep, right? Who, yeah, he's the Aquaman in this world.
Yeah.
He actually, well, sexually assaulted Starlight. You know what I
Right.
mean? Upon her first day of coming into the
Right.
Seven. So yeah, basically he was ousted from the group. Yeah, just mainly because of the shit that he did, right?
Right.
So he finds himself involved in this church called the
It's
Church of the Collective, right?
yeah,
The sect. Sorry.
it's basically Scientology.
Yeah,
Right.
right, exactly.
Right.
That's
Right.
yeah, that's what it is, right? Yeah, and they're just trying to make him a better person, quote unquote, right? He's going along with this because he just wants to get back to his seven at all costs
Right.
because
Yeah.
he tried living a normal life in the last season. It just
Yeah.
didn't work for him. It's
Right.
like, all right, I just need to be back in here, right? And one thing we see next, and we just kind of see his journey there, right? Who else is there in terms of the seven? We also have Black Noah, who once
Right.
again is just in the background. He isn't given much to do. He is still, oh gosh, the guy from GI Joe. Forgetting his name right now.
Yeah, he's a Snake Eyes
Yeah, he's a
type.
Snake Eyes character.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll say he's the Snake Eyes slash the Batman of this, Justice League effectively.
Yes, the
Right.
Batman. I was not
Right.
Batman as such, but the Batman. Okay, yeah, he
Yeah.
could get real aggressive when he's ready, right? So overall what it's about, right? So basically somebody new is comes into the seven. This is a new CEO actually. He's played by Giancarlo Esposito.
Well, he's
You're not
not.
really
He wasn't new. He was in season one.
Oh, right. He
But
was in the finale. He was in the finale.
yeah, he was. He was higher up from Elizabeth
From
Shue's character.
Stillwell. Since that
Right.
Stillwell is
Right.
dead now, he comes in, right?
Right.
And
Well. What happens is that the girl who takes the other girl who was the kind of little side small character. She was like just taking the coffee. I forget her name throughout the season.
all right. I'm
She
forgetting the
right.
name too. Right.
Right.
There's just a few more characters we want to bring up before we get to the review, right? We also introduced to a new character by the name of Stormfront.
Right.
She is a female superhero. She has lightning powers. She
Right.
is just as aggressive, be just as brutal as Homelander.
Right.
And yeah, there's a thing between the two of them. which
Right.
starts off. I don't want to go where it go where I don't want this review where it goes beyond that, but it starts off basically with her pretty much calling out Vought for hiding Compound V and doing all
Right.
these experiments and all that kind of stuff now. So she's kind of like desecrating the name of the Seven in the process now. But at the same time, we learned some deep dark stuff about her. Even Huey and all learns about what her real agenda is as well, and it's kind of brilliant. That's all I'll say. But basically, it's all about Butcher. Because Butcher comes back into the boys, right? Because he left
Right.
for a while to do his thing, but now he's back, and now it's just a matter of saving his wife. He finds out that the kid has powers, and that kind of puts him at doubt because he's all anti-soup from the word go from the first episode of the first season. But now it's like, oh well, I have this kid now. What do I do? And it's all about, and also with all that going on is the threat of Homelander, what he's going to do next. He has an even greater grip on Queen Maeve, who is the another secondary member of the another primary member of the Seven as well too. She's the one woman in this world, but because of her secret relationship with a woman,
Right.
Homelander tries to humiliate her basically by
Right.
kind of painting her as this feminist slash. Well, she was already a feminist
Yeah.
icon,
Yeah.
but now they want to make she has this
Right. Yeah.
LGBTQ icon as
Yeah.
the
So
new
what they had
most
bought.
attribute.
Yeah. So what they had bought to Homelander kind of influenced what to have market her as this big right LGBT feminist icon, and they do, but they carry it too far now. And
Yeah, they did
it was basically
ridiculously
going to
far.
expose, right? It's going to expose. She wanted to have a relatively private life and not be this icon or anything like that. But he make it a thing.
Yeah,
And then what they do is they do the whole, girls get it done. What is called that leaning? It's have a term for this. It's called kind of corporate feminism, leaning feminism stuff, and that
right,
is a
right,
whole
right.
thing by itself. And then the
Yeah,
thing
but
is,
how they
the character,
visualize, how they emphasize it, though was great with the
yeah,
three women in the Seven. I thought that was really cool
right,
having what
right.
they do.
But the thing is too is that they're not the thing is with it too is that they're not uh she herself isn't gay. She isn't a lesbian. She's
Yeah,
bisexual.
she's bisexual. Yeah,
So they didn't they made an interesting take with that with her. It's still a false narrative in a sense. But I like what they do with that.
me too, me too. So, couple things, couple. I promise, and then we get to the review.
Yeah.
So Kimiko has a little bit of stuff going on involving her brother who has powers as well. But something happens. That's all I will say. And she's just like fixated on taking down Stormfront. And last but not least, we have this soup terrorist, quote unquote, that's out and causing like a series of really graphic deaths
Well, yeah.
involving the explosion of heads.
Right.
And I won't tell you where it begins though, but when it happens, it is one of the biggest OMFG moments of the season thus far.
Right.
I jumped when it happened. I was like, oh shit. Like I was shook. I was shook there. And
Yeah.
swear to God, Ricardo, every time somebody's head gets popped, I just jump track. It just happens out of the blue thread. It's so crazy. So yeah, there's this big threat going on here. Now everybody wants to know who's killing off, humans and all that kind of stuff. So all this insanity is going on here in the second season here of The Boys. So Ricardo, take it away. Thoughts on The Boys season 2?
Yeah, I really really appreciated this. I
Same
didn't
here.
think that
Same here.
yeah, I didn't think it would have been as good as it was. It really again the character that stood out was Homelander for me.
Yes.
Didn't I didn't think
Especially when it where they explored his character, where I was like,
yeah. And
this works. It
when they
works.
went
Yeah.
with him especially at the end, you
Yes.
know, 'cause so why it works is that they answer they answer a lot of big questions. I think there's only one question that was kind of lingering for me, which is what happened to the Gale's baby. I don't remember they ever explained that. Elizabeth Shue's character.
Well,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
just said that the baby was found elsewhere, unharmed. But yeah, they,
right.
they never really see anything
Yeah, but
beyond.
we didn't see
So
the child or anything like that.
exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, okay. All right. Well, it probably passed. All right. Well, no problem. Other than that, yeah, I really appreciated what they did with his character. They answered a bunch of big questions, especially the final episode. They answered pretty much everything that I was thinking, and they not this. It's not a answer I expected, but it made sense to. And So I'm just gonna just address this quick. They answer who the quote unquote head papa is, right?
Yes,
Um,
I
right.
loved that reveal. We're not gonna
Yeah.
say who it
Right.
is. No,
Well,
the beauty of the reveal is, oh, it's this person. Wow, and
right.
then the
All I'll
subsequent
say,
scenes after that, though, it just adds an extra layer to where
right.
our characters are now. It's like, wow, oh,
All I'll
okay.
say is basically the character is basically evil AOC. That's all I'll say. You know who that is. Um, they address the questions that I wanted them to address, and they did address it. One, how does Edgar keep Homelander in check? Right? I always thought that he had some weapon or some kind of thing like that. That the
Edgar being
Edgar,
Giancarlo's character, by
yes,
the way.
Stan Edgar.
Yeah. Stan
Um,
Edgar. Mhm.
right. Why would he work with Stormfront? Right? You know, especially once we know her backstory. They answer that, right? Why would Stormfront hide for so long? Because we learn something about Stormfront's past, but something not her very distant origin. We learn something in between that was covered up, and they addressed that, like because she was someone else before. She had another personality. They
Yes.
answer that, right? To say and so, because the thing is, it was quite possible for her to reveal that plan back then, and it would have worked. But something happened and she kind of messed up, and they
Yeah.
addressed that. And they answered by what Vort's intentions are. Right? Vort has
Yes.
a certain intention, and that answers that particularly well. And that's pretty much it. Those three or four big questions like was answered particularly well, and that was it. In fact, I would go as far as saying that I feel Standard might be the real hero of this story, given what we know about the history of Vought, and we kind of learned that in season one of who Vought is and what they were about and whatnot,
Yeah.
and that connection. Then another thing I congratulate this season for is that they made a bunch of changes from the comic. So I
All right.
stopped.
Which, by the way, I am not familiar with at all. I never read
Right.
any comic.
So I got into the comic a little too late, right? I'm sure if I got into the comic back in 2006, I would have loved it. But by the time I got into the comic, which was around 2017, I think, I kind
Oh,
of
yeah, we too late.
yeah, way
Then
too
again,
late.
I'm worse. Like I haven't even started yet.
No, but it's not that. I mean, it's just you always hear about it, and it's, you know, it was always on my list. So I say, all right, I eventually get some spare time, and I started reading it. And I reached up to a point, and it was just I was reading it, and I was like, yeah, a lot of this not working for me. It's something that just feel a little too edge lordy, a little too Bush administration edge lordy, and I just couldn't like I just couldn't get into it, right? I just would like to think that I just mature beyond the point of the comic, because the comic and then but the series is fully recognized this and made a bunch of great changes, right? They made the big change, Stormfront herself, right? uh Stormfront is a man in the comic, right? And he's totally different, has a totally different arc,
Okay.
totally different
Oh.
plan, totally different intentions, and they change up a lot of that.
Hmm.
The other big change is Homelander's kid, right? What they did with that big change is like, wow, they actually changed that.
All
Word.
right.
And they make a smarter change because they're basically doing the Brightburn thing with this one instead.
Yes. Hmm.
Um, what's the other big change, boy? Probably, I'll say probably what Stan Edgar and Vought is up to as well. Again, understandable changes. All these changes are great changes. They make sense. They had to make sense given how politics is now and what the politics of the time of the when the comic was written. You know, the political landscape have changed a lot, and they have to shift with that. But ultimately, it still works and makes sense of what it is. All the characters work. A Train had a great arc. Deep had a great arc.
Yes.
Um,
I'll talk about the deep in a bit, but
Yeah,
yeah, you go on.
Huey and the boys had a good arc. Mother's Milk didn't really give much except for a very traumatic moment involving something elongated, I'll say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, what did you do with Lamplighter? Holy shit, that was real good.
Oh, right. We forgot to mention Lamplighter, who's the
Yeah, yeah.
original member of the Seven. He shows up as well, played
You
by
know,
it's Sean Ashmore, right?
Iceman
Yeah, you
himself.
know me,
Iceman
yeah,
himself.
Iceman. You know, yeah. I thought it was funny because his antagonist
Yeah.
was his rival. Sorry, was
Yeah.
oh gosh, Pyro from the X-Men series. Yeah,
Right.
I thought that was
Yeah,
funny.
exactly. Right. Yeah, right. So you get a little references. It's a bunch of great stuff. And well, Billy's arc is probably one of the best too, because we get a nice little Lord of the Rings reference as well, right? A nice little Lord of the
Ah,
Rings
yes,
come back, right?
I was like,
That was great.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I
Like, my
saw I
word.
saw a picture of it on Facebook. I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
he in this ad. But how they
Uh,
make it work, I was like, word, okay, I like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Fleshing out Billy's backstory even further. I love
Backstory.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why easy way is, and
Mhm. And it makes sense. It
it's
makes total
yeah,
sense.
it's smart. And what the show does well is that the comic was very juvenile and silly. The show is also quite juvenile in its humor and its style of violence, but then they boil it back down to great characterization.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
I can't be mad at any of that. Cannot be mad at any
Yeah.
of that.
Nah,
So
I
yeah,
get used to it from the first season, man. You know what I mean?
right,
Like
right,
you would have your really intelligent stuff, but then you'll give it like really gratuitous violence and
right,
sex. Like
right,
that
right,
that's the wool of the boys, right? But
right.
yeah.
And they ultimately they answer all the questions and give workable answers as to why it is that this character don't do this and how come he don't do that and how is this possible in this way and this content. And yeah, they pretty much answer most of the big questions. Nothing. I mean, only if you want to real nitpicky things, then fine, you could probably find some mistake here or there. And they had a lot of workable misdirections involving like certain powers and whatnot, like the head popper. The head popper. There's a character who you thought the head popper was earlier, right? When they went to the
Yes, yes.
right. But then
Mhm.
it's like, oh no, that's not the thing. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
They answer all these
Even
questions. So,
even when that character was around, I was wondering, wait, is that character? If
right,
that was the character who was doing it, then why he didn't do it when
right,
back against the wall? Now that's what I was
right,
thinking.
right.
So that would.
Yeah, and they make it work. So they make changes to the comic, but it's a lot of great changes in my opinion. I can't be mad at any of these changes. Most of them work. Um, it answered all the big questions. Anthony Starr is a goddamn legend now.
I know, right?
He is
He
so good.
kills it as Homelander, way.
Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant as Homelander in this season. And again, probably my favorite Superman inversion figure. He's just such a hot mess. I mean, it's so sad. I mean, he's one of the saddest characters you'll see in a
Yeah,
while,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in a real while. They
Hmm.
have something involved in a character who's like basically a doppelganger type figure, and they make that work.
Oh my god, that was sad, man. That was
That's
real
sad,
sad.
Dread, real sad. But it was funny too. It's funny
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
made it work too. And yeah, the ultimate, the concept, the conceit of the season works at the ending involving Homelander's kid, Stormfront, and the mother. That final ending with that final I want to say confrontation. At the end was pretty good. Um,
yeah. It was, it was.
yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, ultimately,
And where they took it, I really, really, I really dug. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I
Right.
didn't expect it, but it worked for me. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. And that's it. I mean, yeah, you ought to go ahead now. I mean, I have
yeah,
nothing else to say other than we're going to give him a film school because it's good.
yeah.
It's just I can't.
Yeah. Well, for me, I totally enjoyed the season as well.
Yeah.
I would say it is as great, if not greater, than season one. Right? It
I
just
yeah.
carried
I actually
across
like this one.
everything that made season one great.
Yeah.
But it's not like tons better than season one, right?
Right.
Not really, but it just maintains the greatness. That's all I'll say.
Right. Yeah.
Just to get a couple of my gripes out of the way quickly. I felt with the deep, like, even though I love when it took his character, I felt that it ultimately didn't really add up to anything, which I guess is the point given the
Yeah.
character. But it did introduce us to another shady organization that may or may not have the countries or the people's needs in mind. And I mean, there's something deeper going on, and I hope that with the next season, well, yeah, with Kawiyagi and next season, I
Right.
have a feeling they're gonna really explore the churchy collective now.
The thing is, with that finale, I ain't too sure about that. I mean, I I thought he was
Well,
going.
oh,
Yeah.
right. Without
So I
spoiling anything,
know.
but
Right.
still,
Yeah.
somebody has to step in and clean up the mess, right? That's all you say.
Right.
Also, I would, well, you're right though in terms of Mother's Milk. Arc not really, well,
Yeah.
like
He didn't have any.
they didn't really have anything like they
Yeah.
mentioned something with a relative of his.
With his dad.
That's
Yeah.
obviously it was his dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I thought that was going to add up to something else, but it
Right.
doesn't
Yeah.
really.
You're right.
I do appreciate the time that they spend with Frenchie and Kimiko, right? Their relationship. I can understand why a guy like he would be, you know, enamored by, uh a soup basically with
Right.
regenerative powers and who could basically rip a guy's, throat out of his neck and all that kind of stuff. I see that. I mean Karen's
Right.
really attractive woman. I mean, I'll give her that. You know what I mean? But there was they did decide to give a little backstory to him, which yes, it introduced the lamplighter into the story,
Yeah,
but at the same time, like I wanted to actually see the event that caused him because from the first season they implied that lamplighter did something that just truly pissed off
right.
um truly pissed off Frenchie, right? And I do like that they
Is
showed that
yeah,
lamplighter was working
yeah.
with Butcher and his CIA boss at the
Well,
time and all that kind
yeah,
of stuff.
they
But I
square.
wish
Well,
that they
it's
showed a little bit more of it instead of just implying stuff, right?
yeah. Well, they kind of square that arc reasonably well because it's Frenchie's arc more than Lamplighter's arc. I would argue, in terms of
Okay.
what they do with that. I actually really like what they did there, with that. And well, you get to see why another character, why she's so involved in the whole situation with Bort as well.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
or she connected because you think, oh, she's just some, distant person, and it's like, no, she's actually really, really close to the stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, they make it really personal ultimately, and I really like what they did there.
Right. Yeah, understood, understood. Starlight's arc, sorry, I really
Right, yeah,
enjoyed.
quite good.
Especially with the idea of, oh, this is how she is in the public eye, and this is how
Right.
she is in real life, right? I love that contrast, even by the way, even the way how she looks, like when she's normal, quote unquote, like where they took just the whole idea of, how am I using my powers for good, or and especially with her character, it was like her kind of wrestling with her faith in God. Like I love how they explore that as well too, without just hitting you over the head with it, right? Without being too on the nose, right? Huey's arc I really dug as well. You know what I mean? Him really trying to be his own man. You know what I mean? Not reliant on his dad. I don't even think we see his dad in this season though. Or do we? I don't think so. I don't think we see that much of him at all in this one, right?
Yeah,
Who's played by Simon Pegg, right? But yeah, when they took his arc was really cool as well. Of course, well, Butcher had the best arc in my opinion. Well, I should say second best, in terms of just him reconciling with his wife and just
yeah,
understanding what's really going on and that kind of stuff. And just how far he will go to save her. You know what I mean? It's really like admirable what he does, right? And how far he goes, I would say. And where his arc ends, I really love it. I really can't wait to see what they do here. He says a particular line to a character. I love that. That's a line that I want to live by. You know what I mean? I don't want to spoil anything. All of this, it's very explicit, but I want to live by those words, right? But really, the shining light here is Homelander, though. Anthony Starr, wow, this guy owns every
yeah,
scene that he is in. Like, he's intimidating, but at the same time,
yeah.
he has this likable thing, presence
That's
about
the
him.
thing.
But at the same
Because
time, too, you're
one of the
sorry,
best,
so you kind of pity him, too. So it
one
just
of,
kind
one of
of
the,
plays with all those feelings now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you hate him, but you
yeah.
pity him, and you like him at the same time now.
Yeah, I really really enjoyed him this because they make him genuinely sympathetic, this strong, not just
Yeah.
like kind of sad, whiny type and
Yeah,
needy.
and
But it,
not just sadistic for the sake of it.
right,
Like he
exactly.
is,
But
but
they
there's
make
a
him,
reasoning behind it.
well,
Like
yeah, because they just so happen to get a worst character like that him this season coming in.
yeah, boy, that of
But
course being Stormfront, and
right,
yeah,
but
she
but it,
was. But I like that she was just as quote unquote bitchy as he is, but
right,
even worse though. But yeah, when you learn why she does it though, and then well, is the reveal though basically where she is talking to Homelander and the reasoning behind the whole Compound V stuff. That's all I'll say. Is like this is perfect, Jen. This is like just taking the whole Superman archetype and just kind of really going way back in time to really show you, yeah, this is kind of like what he could have represented now.
yeah,
I love
right.
that. That was so great. I
And
really love that.
the one of the big standouts for Anthony Starr is just the little facial tics,
Yes,
little
yeah.
moments, little
Like he
like
will
you could,
smile, but when
right,
he's disappointed, he will
yeah,
he will have a frown, but he will keep
right.
the smile there. You know what I mean, like,
Yeah, but have right,
uh,
but he's have little quirks in his face, little facial mannerisms to know that he didn't say something right there. Like when because the thing with him is that yeah, he's about America, but because he's so implicitly want to be liked, he can't really go along with that thing now. So he clearly he know that he being manipulated, but he's like just going along with it. Like so, just big kind of spoiler. The character mentions slight one, but the character mentions white genocide to the son. he just
Yes.
like what? Like
Yeah,
huh?
it was
Come
nothing. It's
again?
nothing.
Yeah, come
No,
again?
no, sorry. Stormfront is nothing. Forget it.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's a little things like that. But then the best, I find one of the best moments of him is when when he wanted to cheer up the son, because the son had a kind of a agoraphobic kind of meltdown because he's not accustomed to people. And he
Oh,
carried the
yes,
son,
yes. I remember that. Yeah.
right, he carried the son back home. And I thought that was a great thing. And then well, that's when the plan getting that. And,
Yeah, yeah.
he had his American Psycho moment after that. But,
Oh, yes. So, oh,
yeah,
yes. So, yes, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it
Um,
was, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and in terms of like where it all culminates to, there's that finale. Yeah, I dug nearly everything about the finale though.
Right.
Especially where they took Butcher and Homelander's characters. Really dug that. And even Stormfront and all too. A great, really kick-ass moment involving Stormfront and some heroes, as always say. I really, really
Right.
dug. That was great.
Right. That is a scene more or less from the comic. There's a scene almost identical to in the comic that happens there, but
Okay, okay.
it's different. It's much different from what they do in the comic. But
Right, right.
they do roughly the same thing. But yeah,
Yeah. Right. Just a couple things as well, before I get to read it, right? Now, what I will say though, just like the first season, and this I should say this for folks going in blind, even though it involves superheroes and yes, it has graphic violence in it, that's not to say the show is totally reliant on action, right? This is
right.
one thing that I love about this show um, is that it is very much character based, character driven, right? It's all about what's going on inside and whatnot, you know what I mean, and how the world sees it, externally. I really, really love that. And also one thing that really surprised me, like rewatching the first season and seeing it here again, with this, well, we see replicated with this season here, is how it feels like every shot, like every scene isn't like there for padding at all. Like every scene is so well thought out and needs to be there, right? So
Yeah.
yes, episodes will feel long, right? Like episodes will clock in at about an hour or hour and 5 minutes and whatnot. But just thinking about each shot, like each scene in it, there's nothing wasted here. Like everything
Yeah.
needs to be there. It serves its purpose, even if it's just for you to understand something about a character or just a decision that a character makes. Nothing feels wasted here. So for those who kind of go in expecting this thing to be this action-packed joyride, we each episode, sorry, being an action-packed joyride, you're not gonna get that. But if you want like just really fully fleshed out complex characters, and yeah, be some great action scenes ever so often. Yeah, the boys is the place to go.
Right.
Last I want to say though, Homelander is shaping up to be one of my favorite, TV characters. I'll
Yeah.
have him alongside, folks like Tony Soprano or, Walter White. You know what I mean? Like he's right up there, Jed, in terms of how complex of a character he is. You hate him, but you love to hate him. But at the same time, you can't help but pity him. You can't help but
Yeah.
sympathize with him at times. And I
I,
really
that's
give credit where credit's due. Where yeah, with the season here, you kind of care for him. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Especially with how they
Exactly.
include his son and him trying to be the dad. You know what I mean? And especially from
Right.
what you learned from the last season, him not having a dad, right? So it works, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we could gush on and on about this
But
here, but yes.
yeah, well, we had to mention our last scene with him, brother. Like really good.
Oh yes, yes, yes. As I've said in a comment to a Facebook post, it's like the last bit of e-wholeness that we
Right.
need
So
to
for
see. Do
understand,
I love that. It's just like, yeah, it's just like, yeah, no matter what, it's still Homelander,
right.
So
And
I
from
love that.
understand, that was a scene in season one, I think, and they cut it, and then they bring it back for the season. I thought,
Okay,
from
okay,
understand,
okay.
yeah, I
All
think
right,
so.
so they worked
Yeah.
in a deleted scene. All right.
Right. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I mean it's very vulgar, but I mean in this
Yeah.
world, but it makes sense. It makes
Yeah.
total sense.
Yeah.
So yes, folks, this has shaped up to be one of my favorite shows, out there right now. I will just easily recommend this show to. I mean, it's not for everyone, of course, right? But just for those who kind of like to see a criticism of media and oh gosh, celebrity lifestyle and just the war and terror and stuff
Yeah.
like that that just touches
Right.
on all these things so effortlessly. Yeah, yeah, this is a solid recommendation from me. So rating wise, I'm gonna give this season here a strong 4 to like 4.5 out of 5, man. I dug this. This is one of the best shows out there. This is one of the, well, I would say this is going to be in my top 10 for sure as far as enjoyable TV shows of 2020 goes.
Right.
And season 3, I don't know when we're going to get that, but yeah, I am definitely excited to see where they take these characters. Um, last thing I want to say is I am a little bit worried as to how long the show is gonna run for. Like, not just because of what's going on with the pandemic, but just period. Like, how far are they gonna take this story? Are they gonna go 2 more seasons and just wrap up at a season 5, or God forbid, go even further than that? I don't know, but they should kind of figure out what to do going forward, right? So at least they could kind of not have the show run for too long. At least they could end it on a strong note, right? I really, really want that. But in the meantime, folks, The Boys is a real deal.
Yeah.
Yes, it lives up to the hype. Definitely watch this show. So last was the rating on The Boys season 2.
Yeah, I give this like something close to like a 9 out of 10, probably a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, it just was
Nice.
so entertaining and engaging the entire time. I didn't expect it to be as funny as it was, engaging as it was. Everybody enjoyed. Everybody had a good arc for the most part. They answered all the questions. I very satisfactory overall, and genuinely touching at times, and they made it work. So I'll say yeah. For me, a nine, close to 9, almost perfect. So good, great, loved it.
Nice.